what you're seeing now, perhaps now that you're a dealer, where your mind is going on how to handle leads effectively?
Yeah, of course. The subject matter we touched upon is why lead handling is so difficult. It is so easy in a PowerPoint. It is so easy in Excel or in a white canvas. How it should work, but in the panic of the day, in the madness of a day's work at the dealership, it is not a ball game. So you have to be very practical to help dealers to understand why leads are important. And sometimes I'm very tired to say that again and again and again, because after all, we are saying that for the last 20 years. A lead, it doesn't matter how it comes in, but it is still a human being asking some information. And I touched upon the 6-step program we developed by accident with Toyota, the Netherlands here, where they ask us to help them with their lead follow-up. And the first thing we talked about, why our BDC, I'm also the co-owner of a BDC in Holland, how the BDC can work together with the dealers to perform better on lead handling. And when we talked about it, we said to each other, why in the hell is it possible that we can teach a BDC rep with a minimum salary in comparison with a car salesman, that we can teach him or her how to do it, and we cannot teach the salespeople.
Right.
And that changed the whole dynamic of the conversation, because the OEM has 105 dealer stores, about 350 salespeople. If we can move the needle of that salespeople for only 10% to be better in lead handling, we will make a bigger impact than we make our BDC agents, 5 of them, better in handling leads. So we changed the dynamics, and we developed the 6 steps program where the salespeople were the diamond, the centerpiece of all. And we developed tools, we developed manuals, processes, training, coaching, but we emphasize a lot about the salespeople and how to handle leads, because I don't know how it is in America, how it is in Canada, but OEMs in Europe are spending a lot of money to train salespeople about the product. Everything about the product they should know.
Right.
But how to handle leads or how to handle an objection is something they don't teach upon, only at school, maybe, or in one podcast or in one book or whatever. And that is almost a lost art, because back in the day, 50 years ago, they were saying, hey, an online lead, online customers are different. We need other people to handle those people. And that's wrong in definition. So my presentation was going about the 6 steps and what we started with and where we ended last year in conversion and why it worked.
Let me ask you this to give some context, right? Because especially in automotive, we want everything now.
Yes.
But you said you developed this with your Toyota OEM in Holland. How long? And I'm sure you're still, iterating and getting new ideas and stuff. But initially, how long did it take for you to formulate the plan and start to implement it?
We are working now on the plan for the last 4 years and still not finished, because the consumer is changing all the way. Because the dynamic of the consumer 4 years ago is different than it is now. If I don't answer the lead now within 1 minute, they are anxious, they are angry, they are not satisfied, etc., and all those kind of things. And also, if you don't have a WhatsApp integration follow-up system in Europe, then you are toast as well, because the private email is your last resort of communication and not your first or your second. You can do better in postal card than send an email to a private email address.
Right. Talk to me about WhatsApp for a little bit. I mean, I know pretty much everywhere else in the world except for North America has adopted WhatsApp.
Yeah.
When you're talking about WhatsApp integration into your follow-up process, are you saying that there's some way for somebody to just click WhatsApp and it opens up and a conversation starts?
Yeah, it can be. It can be. First started, we perceived in Europe SMS or text as an uh, old platform. That's something you did with a Nokia, and you don't do it with an iPhone. That's the way we see it. And when WhatsApp was coming up, it was actually free because you only need a data stream. You need only to have Wi-Fi, and then you can text each other.
Right.
Back then, you have to pay the telecom provider for every text. So that's why it went from nothing to everything in 6 months or so. And now, if you don't have a WhatsApp integration in your lead management system or on your website or whatever the case will be, then your follow-up will not be that effective than it should be if you are using it. On the other hand, if you're using now text, because text is still used by the banks, is still used by the dentist, is a virgin platform. Nobody is using it, so there's not many messages going around that platform. So your message will pick up maybe faster than WhatsApp, because in WhatsApp you can have 200 messages in a day of your friends, right, friend groups, etc., and whatever the case will be. So maybe it will shift again, but we don't know. So we have to be agile again.
It kind of reminds me of direct mail versus, email. Mm-hmm. We got to a point where email marketing's adoption was so broad that people were finding direct mail became effective again because it stood out. There wasn't as much direct mail happening. I think that's interesting that you're noting that. Also, then, I would just like to note for those listening, when I asked Paul for his phone number to update his phone number, he let me know that I was a dinosaur using SMS text messaging. And I think you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you even said the only reason I have it is because you and David Kane still text me.
yeah. That's the only person, yes, which I have a text communication flow with. First, we started through Facebook Messenger, I thought.
Right.
And but it is true. The American friends I have is text dominant, but even Brian Brian Pesch is learning to use WhatsApp on a regular basis because it works like dynamite in Europe or in Italy or whatever.
Right. That makes sense. But also to your point, though, I'd like to just highlight that a broken clock still tells the time correctly at least twice per day.
Yeah.
So maybe to your point, Paul, if things start to switch back to SMS, maybe I was just ahead of the curve.
You can be ahead of the curve again. No, but it is never to be right or wrong or
right.
It is which communication channel the customer uses, we have to use. And we have too much emphasis on platforms, on online retailers, where they want to funnel the consumer in their funnel. And I want to be facilitating the funnel the customer is choosing. If you choose to send a letter, that can be as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to have you break down, if possible, the 6 steps, or maybe the first 4, whatever you're most comfortable with. I'd love to learn more about the 6 steps, but before we go there, DPB gang, I'm dying to know, Paul, what has your experience been like becoming a dealer again?
Oh, it is horrifying and satisfying in the same time. I want, for example, we are building now the dealership, right? The building.
Right.
And French people ask me to set up a light box and I don't know the English word, but outside a pole of 6 meters, etc.
Right.
And I asked my guy, which also makes all the signing on all my buildings for the last 20 years, what does that cost me? So he sent me a quote of 15,000 with the same colors, with the same, everything is the same. Then the French are saying no, it has to be through our supplier. I said that's fine either, 40,000. I said where's the difference? Oh, but we are paying with the other one as well. We are giving you a bonus for that. I said okay, how much is that bonus of 25,000 then? 500. And then okay, we didn't change that much.
Right.
On the other hand, it's very satisfying that starting the dealership again, because I was a former SsangYong dealer, a Korean brand, and a Chrysler dealer back in the day in 2009. And then I started the nieuweautokopen.nl website, which I sold to eBay after that. And when you're writing a lot about how dealers should work, it is a very good example to say I'm right, and you can prove it that you are right. It's a very expensive way to say I'm right, but still, it is something I love to do, and I can have all my ideas in place to work it out, to try it, to pilot it, and then can write an article about it, how it worked, why it didn't work, or why it was a good idea to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I have to say congratulations, because I know ever since you and I have known each other, you've expressed your goal of owning a dealership again. And so the fact that you're making that happen, I think is nothing short of tremendous. So congratulations. And also the bonus is you're already bald, so you don't have any more hair to lose.
Olga is now entering the office.
Does she agree with me?
No, she didn't like that I was that bold.
Well, look, some people, if Olga's still here, let me offer some fresh perspective.
Hi.
Hi, Olga.
Hi.
This is the way I say, you're not losing your hair, you're gaining more face.
Perfect. That's a good one.
Well, that's fantastic. Good to see you. Well, certainly congratulations. I love that. Now, and by the way, I'm keeping all of that in because I love that we got some FaceTime with your beautiful wife.